Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And some breaking news as World Rugby have confirmed the World Rugby Award nominations for this year. And some very good news for South African fans because a Springbok player has been nominated for World Player of the Year. In fact, two potential South African winners in all the various awards, stuff like that. So a very exciting time to be a South African rugby fan. But before we sort of look at the nomination stuff, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Now, for South Africans, I think the big one we're going to be watching is World Men's Rugby 15th Player of the Year because LUKHANYO has been nominated. And what a year it has been. And must admit to being still a little bit surprised because I think had he continued playing and had he played the entire season, I think he would have been an absolute shoo-in. But with his injury, he actually hasn't played as much international rugby as he definitely could have and definitely probably would have, obviously. But so that part almost sort of surprised me, the fact that he still got a nomination despite having not played any rugby since Australia. And I think he only ended up playing about 4 or 5 matches this year from an international perspective. And again, so if it's a case of from the sort of November through to November, then include last year, then 100%. But it's always difficult, isn't it, when you look at sort of the international season and he only played 5 matches. But there's some pretty impressive performances in that 5 matches. But I don't have an issue with LUKHANYO being nominated as opposed to I can't understand how Evan Etzebeth year in year out doesn't find a nomination. He's been the Springboks' best player by a country mile. He's played almost every single minute of the entire Springbok campaign. He continues to do it. Everybody keeps worrying about burnout. Everybody keeps saying, you're not going to get tired, you're not going to rest. And he just keeps churning out the performances. But in terms of LUKHANYO competition for the award, the following people have been nominated. Previous winners in Anton DuPont and Johnny Sexton, and first-time nominee Josh van der Fleer. And look, Josh van der Fleer, what an absolute phenomenal year he is having. Anton DuPont won the award last year. Must admit, I'm not sure that he's been as his same sort of level as last year. I thought last year he was untouchable. You couldn't. Every single time you watched a French game, he was just dictating. He was just doing everything. It was absolutely sublime last year. Not convinced he's had the same sort of form, but at the end of the day, he was so good last year that even if he hasn't had the same sort of form this year, he's still been in phenomenal form. But then Johnny Sexton as well. When he plays, phenomenal. But again, I do sort of my only sort of question would be he doesn't play week in week out. But I think there is a stupid stat where he's basically won every single match he's played this year, apart from the one where he went off injured after 30 minutes. That's a mental stat. Basically, Ireland don't lose when he plays. If he plays full 80, Ireland win every single time this year. That's the stat. That's the stat, and that's a hell of a thing. So I don't have much, and it's always difficult because you can only nominate 4 players. But I do think there are a lot of players who could have been in that nomination, and you do look at, for example, you look at the idea that a prop's never been nominated, so a lot of people calling for Cyril Baye. I cannot understand how Ari Sevilla doesn't get a nomination. I think Emmanuel Bafeli could very well have been in with a shout. You look at how good he's been for Argentina. I think that those sorts of players like that could feel very hard done by. But it's a good list, and look, the players, I don't think anyone's going to complain if any of those 4 players become a World Player of the Year. In the case of Anton DuPont and Johnny Sexton, will be 2-time World Player of the Year. But let's look at all the other nominations, shall we? And we'll start with the Breakthrough Player. So if you look at the Women's Breakthrough Player of the Year, Maud Muir from England has been nominated alongside Vitalina Nakora from Fiji, Malcolm Nikolu Ruiz and Ruby Tour from New Zealand, both of them from New Zealand. So two big players who comes and move from the 7th circuit into the 15s. Ruby Tour is finding an absolute cult following. You look at the Men's Breakthrough Player of the Year, Henry Arundel, Andrew Kaputsa, fine, Matt Hansen, fine, Dan Sheehan, fine. Can somebody please explain to me how Harry Arundel gets nominated on the back of 24 minutes of rugby, of international rugby? That's like, unless I've miscalculated somewhere, but of course, all the stats I can find, he's played 24 minutes of international rugby. And he's been nominated for Breakthrough Player of the Year. How? I must admit, I thought Curly Arendse would be sort of on the radar as someone who's come in and really had a storm of a year. But 24 minutes of rugby and you get nominated. Cannot understand that at all. It's just bizarre for me. I think Dan Sheehan, Matt Hansen, very worthy nominees. I personally hope that Andrew Kaputso will get it. I personally think it's Vihina and Sheehan. But those two will both be very worthy winners. We look at the World Coach of the Year: Andy Farrell, Fabian Galtier, Simon Middleton, and Wayne Smith. I think Wayne Smith probably the favourites there, considering where New Zealand were a year ago and now they've gone on to win the World Cup. So very surprised if you win a World Cup and you don't win that. If you look at the International Workplace Women's Trials of the Year, we've got another South African, as Nomawetu Mabenga has been nominated for her try against Spain on the 12th of August. So we look and wait to see if she can potentially go and win that. We're going to look at International Rugby Player Men's Player of the Year. Rodrigo Fernandez, Chile versus USA. Lalaka Faketi, Australia versus France. Chris Harris, Scotland versus Italy. Eduardo Padovani, Italy versus Wales. And Louis Rees-Zammit for his try against South Africa. So we won't enjoy watching that back. If you look at the Women's Sevens Players of the Year, there's Charlotte Caslick from Australia, Madison Levy from Australia, Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe from Ireland, and Faith Nathan from Australia. So 3 Oz players been nominated there. If you look at the Men's Sevens Player of the Year, it's Terry Kennedy from Ireland, Nick Malou from Australia, Kaminila Rasuku from Fiji, and Corey Toole. So no Blitzbox being named, despite their really good run and their really good form beginning of the season. I think the fact that they tapered off. I thought Salvin Davis might have been in the shot if he continued to play like he was. And then the last ones is the World Rugby Women's 15th Player of the Year, Sophie de Good from Canada, Roya Demant from New Zealand, Alex Matthews from England, Laura Sansus from France, and Portia Woodman from New Zealand. All these awards will be handed out in a week's time on Sunday, the 20th of November. Other awards that will be handed out are World Rugby Referee Award, International Rugby Player Special Merit Award, the Vernon Pugh Award for Distinguished Service, and then 2 Dream Team, 15's Dream Teams of the year. Let me know what you think of the nominations down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Do you back LUKHANYO to win this? Should he be nominated? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.